I want to show you what the fence is like near Yuma, Arizona. A couple miles west of Yuma, there is about 17 miles of border as the crow flies, defined by the Colorado River between the Mexican towns of Los Algodones and San Luis del Rio, Colorado. For 4 of these miles, there is a pretty good fence, but for 13 miles, there's an area where anyone can walk across. The border corresponds to the Colorado River, but the fence is not right on the river, so even where there's a good fence, fake refugees can just walk into American territory and surrender to a Border Patrol agent without having to cross a pedestrian barrier at all. The water has been diverted, and the river is very shallow in this area. This is where the 4 miles of good fence ends. It's a bollard-style steel rail fence here. There is a right-angle turn in the fence with a gate in it that opens to a road behind the fence towards Mexico, but the road is still in American territory. Border Patrol agents patrol on that side of the fence, so refugees can just walk right up and surrender, and they have to be ushered through the fence according to current law. The border is somewhere on the other side of this field, a couple hundred yards away at this point. At this point where the fence ends, there is a sign that warns you are entering the Cocopah Indian Reservation. The tribe has land on both sides of the border, but the reservation does not cover the entire gap in the fence. Also, the mouth of the Colorado River is a sensitive environmental area. The lack of a pedestrian barrier may have something to do with the Indian reservation and/or environmental issues. At this same point is where this barrier starts, a steel rail fence called a Normandy-style vehicle barrier. It may stop vehicles, but you can see that it doesn't stop pedestrians, and anyone can crawl over or under it. A steel rail fence like this is the only barrier for the next 13 miles all the way to Los Algodones. Mexican Highway 2 runs parallel to the border, only a couple hundred yards away from the border and less than 100 yards in places. This bus on the Mexican side could be dropping off a load of fake refugees for all I know. However, a wall will not stop fake refugees. There will always be a place where they can cross and surrender to agents. Changes in the law are necessary to stop fake refugees. But it certainly doesn't help matters for there to be a 17-mile stretch of border where anyone can walk across with a Mexican highway running right next to it and a major Mexican border town like Mexicali only 40 miles away. On the northern side of this gap in the fence near Los Algodones, there is a dam that diverts the Colorado River into Mexico for irrigation, leaving just a trickle to flow down along the border. This is a shot of the dam from the Mexican side. You can see the vehicle barrier on the other side in the distance. The depth of the water here is only a couple of feet. Further down, the water peters out completely and you can walk across without even getting your feet wet. To the west of this stretch, on the California border with Mexico, there is a bollard fence from Los Algodones to Mexicali, Calexico, a distance of about 40 miles. On the south side, between the U.S. and San Luis Rio, Colorado, there is an old landing plate fence with razor wire on top of it. The military has added razor wire for probably hundreds of miles in places of high traffic. Landing plate fence is not optimum. However, this fence at San Luis has 2 layers. Another fence is behind it. If they get past the first fence, the Border Patrol is almost certainly going to catch them before they get over the second fence. The double fence runs for a few miles and eventually transitions outside town into a single steel plate fence. This photo is from the Mexican side. This must be a recent replacement. I drove on Mexican Highway 2 along this same fence 3 years ago, and it was all landing plate fence at that time. It seems that the secondary fence in town has also been installed recently.